everyone, and welcome to the Content Marketing Institute's Tech Talk webinar. I'm Stephanie Stahl, General Manager for the Content Marketing Institute. So nice to have you all here today. These Tech Talks are designed to help you learn about innovative companies and products and strategies that we think can help you in your day-to-day life. So if you are looking to improve search on your website, you're at the right place. If you are looking to improve your website experiences overall, you've come to the right place. So thank you for joining us today. Before I welcome our presenter to the virtual stage, just a few logistics here for you to take a look at. Most importantly, we love it when you ask questions. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A box, hit submit. They'll come to us. We'll try to answer as many as we can. Also, the slides will advance automatically, so just sit back, enjoy, take it all in, learn. We'll send you a link to the on-demand version in about 24 hours. So if you missed something, you want to watch it again, you want to share it with a colleague, the link will be waiting for you in your inbox. Also, check out the resources that we have behind the folder tab. There's a folder widget on your console. Go there. There's some resources for you to take along with you today if you'd like. So please, everyone, give a warm welcome to William Sang. He's the Director of Sales Engineering at Lucidworks. He's joining us today from Chicago. Welcome, William. It's so nice to have you here.
Thanks, Stephanie. Very glad to be here.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn the podium over to you, and I will see you in just a little bit for some Q&A.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Stephanie. Hello, everyone. As Stephanie introduced me, my name is William Sang. I lead sales engineering here at Lucidworks, and I am focused on actually our go-to-market with our new SaaS offering for Lucidworks called Connected Search. We'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end. A little bit about myself. I've been in the search and insights engine space for the last about 10 plus years now, both developing, evangelizing search and AI as a valuable asset for getting your content, your products, your knowledge from your website to your customers. For today's conversation, we've dubbed our title and tagline Site Search 101, the most effective content marketing tool that you're probably forgetting. Today, you'll hear a blend of experiences, some which you already know from as content managers and marketers. My goal is to tell you, how to take those that you potentially know and some of the best practices that you're already doing today to drive better experiences for your website visitors and create the right desired actions that drive what are conversions to you and what KPIs are important to you through search. What I want to kick us off with is just some insights from our ebook that we released earlier this month and set a little bit of the tone for the topic that we're going to dive into. So when we talk about site search, it's actually often confused with SEO, or what you guys may know as search engine optimization. What we define as site search, at least at Lucidworks, it's sometimes also referred to as on-site search, external site search, or even just website search, right? This refers to a search application that currently lives on your website, right, and allows a visitor that comes to your site to search for your public site content or any other collection of information. That could be documents, could be product information, or even answers to questions, right, that potentially exist somewhere on your website. This is a highly critical moment for you as a website owner or content owner, right? Content is really only useful if it's either visible on a site when users come and visit, and it's often potentially the most recent, content, product, or campaign execution that you guys are executing, right? It's good enough to pique someone's interest and bring them to the site, but you might lose them, right, if they can't continue their customer journey with you. So a frustrating search experience can leave behind a sour brand impression, right, and send visitors looking elsewhere. And awfully, that's going back to Google and going to your competitors, right? But if you get it right, you're actually shortening and both increasing the value of your customer journey. Getting the right content in front of a person also prompts a conversation or incentivizes them to spend more time on your website and then trust your search as a medium to find more content. When we look at the customer experience for search, right, you can see that there's only a small moment, right, that you have to capitalize on when a user is interested in something on your website, right, and when they enter your site, right? Search is a unique moment in your website's life cycle where you can capture some portion of the voice of your customer, right? No other medium really allows the customer to actually drive any type of input that is either keyword driven or question answer driven, right? Capturing this particular signal, right, and leveraging a combination of things like analytics and potentially machine learning and artificial intelligence will guide you as a content marketer to create better experiences and optimize your search for that really small window, right? To wow your users with the content that they were actually looking for that might not be present to their eyes immediately. So usually when a visitor reaches your site, they're already interested in what you have to offer, or else they wouldn't have come to you in the first place, right? And what they're really looking for is, what do you actually have to say, right? You have times when you win them over with the content of a homepage or landing page. That's awesome, right? You've actually put in a lot of work and effort to make those effective, right? But sometimes users might actually immediately reach for that search magnifying icon on your page, or if your search bar is prominently displayed, right? Google and Amazon have actually trained us to basically go towards it automatically, right? This makes search, right, your first touch and first point of contact for your users to find the destination that they have in mind. Your search bar potentially could also be the last thing your visitors touch if your browse experience wasn't up to their expectation, right? Exits from search are actually one of the most highly tracked in Google Analytics, right? You've looked at your Google Analytics and said, hey, like I've got an 88% exit rate from my search, right? So whether the user reached for the search bar first, right, or if they've already browsed your site and went to the search bar as a last resort, right, this is the last moment that you have to retain that user on your website and not lose them back to Google, where you and your competitors are fighting for that space. So when it comes to setting up your site search for success, it really shouldn't be much more difficult than actually what you're doing to win in the world of Google and SEO, right? A good website search engine should be able to leverage the standards that you're already following with Google in terms of setting up your relevance, right? This means as a content manager and marketer, the better disciplined you are at managing your content, the better actually all search engines should be able to leverage your metadata, your meta tags, and your page content. One aspect to also consider when you're thinking about how you want to set up your website search is actually how your content is either unified, segmented, or both, right? You can think of potentially your site content as something that you might put in there. You might think of your documentation or other aspects of your site, right? Users hit your site from many different places, right? And they may specifically be looking at information or looking for information in a specific location. When I think about this, I think of areas like universities or higher ed. When they set up their website, it's actually a multi-domain affair with different subsites and domains supporting either prospective students, current students, department, resources, event, just to name a few things that higher ed supports, right? There are areas that benefit from a global search experience that unifies all of your content together, right? That could just be the homepage of your site that just has everything, right? And there are times when you really want to segment your content so that the search precision is really high. Those could be your current students. It could be individual departments with individual department pages that just want to return content that's very specific to them, right? A good search engine gives you the capacity to either unify your content in one place or easily segment and structure it when necessary, just like you would with a website. When we talk about that short moment in time your users are on the search bar, autocomplete is actually the first potential experience, right, your user sees when they begin looking for content. And it's actually very imperative that that experience, if you choose to use it, is positive, right? There are actually two fairly straightforward ways that autocomplete can behave, and there's other options out there. But the first leverages keywords, and that should look familiar to anyone that potentially searches on Google or Amazon, right? A keyword-based autocomplete is meant to help users form their search query if they don't quite know what to look for. The other option is a content-based autocomplete, right, which actually presents content directly to the user in order for them to drive them directly to specific content pages without actually hitting a search result page. You actually see this most often in e-commerce sites where merchandisers are attempting to drive search traffic directly to product pages. Both keyword and content autocomplete methodologies are 100% valid. You can choose one or the other, or you could actually combine both of them. You have a best of both worlds that leverages both the power of being able to support keyword-based search, as well as trying to drive your user directly to content and put that in one single autocomplete experience. So after you really think about what goes on your site and how you want to structure your site, right, the next is actually really focused around tracking your users' behavior, right? And you all, most likely for everyone who's here today already have something that's doing that today. That could be Google Analytics, that could be other tracking tools, right? They set a standard that's already out there in terms of how to capture and track actions. In tracking what users are searching for, all of those tools actually do a really good job of capturing what that event is. And they actually even do a further job in at least capturing an action of what they may have clicked on, right? So if you're not capturing this as at a minimum, it's a great starting point to begin to understand your users' behavior better, right? But however, there are still more valuable combinations of these moments that actually aren't easily leveraged once that data is captured. So once you really dive into the analytics, right, once the information is captured, you start to define what feedback, what success KPIs are critical for taking that first step in improving your search experience. So often when Google Analytics and other tools capture and display information, that information is either usually kind of deposited in their own silos, right, where the key components of what the user searched for, right, what was their voice, what was the query that was used, and what they've clicked on, they're actually either siloed into their own dashboards, or they have a single dashboard that kind of shows everything, but they actually, Google Analytics or other tools haven't quite done enough in terms of aggregating through that content and connecting it to specific actionable KPIs. How valuable do you think it could be for you to see not only what your top content that is clicked through search, right, but what types of voices and queries are finding it? How common are these to each other? Can you find specific patterns that allow you to create things like synonyms, antonyms, and other forms of keywords, right, that would help your other users to be able to find that same content, right? If you're able to see even some of your top queries were, right, and understand what and how do users look for content, right, you could be able to piece together your best content, right, or even new content that you should be promoting for things that for your top queries that users are looking for, right? This supports your ability to be able to find and learn what the customer's voice is, and then support that with the right pieces of content. So being able to aggregate and combine these analytics together is what makes your tracking actually more useful, right? While things like click-through rate, right, is a solid baseline KPI for search, how you use that information to inform and automate your improvement is critical to maximizing the value of your search engine. And once you've got all of these in one place, right, making changes to search should be actually as easy as clicking a button to either boost or block your search results within your UI. When you're able to combine your user behavior tracking analytics together with either manual or automated actions, that's when you're able to really maximize your users' experience as they're searching on your site. If you have promoted or potentially boosted a piece of content, but users are searching and clicking on something different, there's a good chance that you're losing out on traffic. That's absolutely okay, right? Boosting content is simply just your hypothesis, potentially based on analytics data, of what the user should be clicking on, right? Sometimes that pans out, and other times you want the data to be able to tell you that something else may be more efficient at the top of the list, or you may be lacking in content if a boost just doesn't perform at all. Having this feedback, having the ability to not only make manual changes, but also automate some of these changes, and looking at how they perform, allow you to continuously improve and continuously deploy better content to your site. So when you piece this all together, right, where can you potentially go at the end of the day? Your customer journey actually just doesn't end once they're done with the website. It actually continues on to other aspects of your business, such as potentially an e-commerce shopfront or to a support portal, right? So how important could it be in terms of having a full connected analytics experience, right? And having that information about your customer as they walk through their journey, right? Which connects not only how your customers are getting information to make a decision, to that decision point where that customer decides to go to your shop front or potentially goes to your support portal, right? This all allows you to begin creating a permanent identity of that user, which supports other aspects of your business, whether that's sales or customer support. And this actually places a heavy importance on your site search as that first potential line of engagement with your users and your consumers. And it leverages the ability that as you're capturing information at the earliest point of the life cycle, right, you're driving that information to other applications in the ecosystem to deliver the right information to your customers. So as you are planning your next steps for your website, consider what impact having a robust search engine at the earliest point of your customer journey can bring to other aspects of your applications, right? Having a baseline for a good search experience is a great first step, and allowing it to not only serve highly relevant results, but also generate valuable data and information to inform your other experiences. This is what creates that fully connected user journey and accounts the value of your customer voice that you may not be using. So if you'd like to hear a little bit more about Lucidworks, please come visit our website or use the link that's on the page. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to talk with you about any upcoming initiatives that you may have on your website with search, anything that's beyond that. And a little bit more about who we are and a brief history of Lucidworks. You actually may have heard about us through our enterprise product, Lucidworks Fusion, which has been in the market for over 7 years. It currently powers search for some of the largest websites, e-commerce sites. We also power workplace enterprise search and customer service. And we are still actively building and developing on Fusion, and we are leveraging that knowledge together to package a SaaS solution called Springboard, in which connected search actually serves as our first step in creating a website search engine, right? That not only delivers on website search, but also covers the entire customer journey from their first step onto your website to their purchase and then supporting them in the future. So we hope that you come check us out. So that is it for the content that we have today. So I thank you for tuning in and hope you have some great takeaways as you're thinking about your next step of enhancements to your website. And I think there are a few questions, so I'll kick it over to Stephanie to MC us.
Thank you so much, William. I loved what you said about, it being a unique moment to capture the voice of your customer. That's so true. I've never really thought about it that way, but it's almost like saying, hey, how can we help you? And they're answering, I love that. I had to jot that down. That was really good.
Absolutely. Yeah. People always think that customers are just looking for things, right? But they don't think about, what could I do with that information if I'm actually really looking at the end of the day, right? This is just a moment where you get a little bit more about the people that are exploring your website. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you did talk a bit about analytics, and do you have any thoughts? There are a few questions here about, tools, what tools are best for search, in terms of analytics. Do you have any recommendations?
Honestly, I don't. I would just say pick one. Almost every single analytics tool, they all have their own pros and cons, and they're all valid, right? There are a couple things that you really want to look at. One is potentially how could you get information out of those analytics tools and into a search engine, right? A search engine would be able to potentially take advantage of the data that's there with an analytics tool and then transform it into something that's more beneficial to inform you about search, right? That's going to be really important, in terms of what you do there. You could also potentially build those into your analytics tool if it has those capabilities for you to build some custom dashboards and to stitch events together. Potentially an even better option is that if your search engine itself provided something like a tracking pixel or a beacon, as I believe they're called within the industry, right? And that would allow you to send data automatically to your search provider. It just very much functions like Google Analytics and other tracking tools, but it kind of get the right things directly to your source of truth, right? And then it automatically already stitches that information together. So you can be very focused in on a search-focused analytics experience.
So pick a tool and just do it, right? Just start gathering.
Just do it, yeah.
Just do it, yeah. That's great.
Just do it.
Let's see, question here. How can I add machine learning and AI to my website search? Good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I worked with a lot of large companies where I would just say it could be very expensive, right? If you want to go hire a bunch of data analysts, data scientists, and create a data team. And often I would say most marketing budgets don't usually extend quite that far. And I would say most agencies at this point probably can't provide that just yet. There's just a lot of technologies out there today, right? So what should a good search engine really have, right? If you're looking to add ML AI, right? Search engine would really have to come with it built in, right? And that ML AI would have to be able to leverage not only analytics data, right, but also potentially the content that you're bringing in, right? So the goal there is not only would it stitch things together around your analytics, but also stitch that back into your content to make your content more relevant as well. My thought always around ML, and I always get interesting questions that are asked around this. In my opinion, there's a couple things. One, ML AI really shouldn't be used like interchangeably to solve for like problems around poor data quality and poor data governance, right? There are tools out there that probably do a better job than a search engine might. There are also some search engine tools out there that do some level of type of ETL work around, poor data quality or poor data governance. But at the best, again, if you're disciplined around your practice there, then there's nothing wrong with it. But a search engine AI really should be focused around just delivering positive outcomes for search, right? And then automating those outcomes as well for you as a content owner, right? So in just adding ML and AI, it's not, people always talk about it, but I always like to focus in on, what business problem do you really want to solve when you add ML and AI to your website search? So, and hopefully it's more focused around driving the right outcomes as opposed to fixing problems, right? That either within your data or something else.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. How important is SEO to the success of my website search? So I know this wasn't about SEO in particular, but
Yeah.
There are questions here about sort of that relationship. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. Look, SEO is going to be important to your website, like one way or the other, right? It's important for both at the end of the day. But your efforts that you put into your SEO, right, obviously determine, how it ranks on Google. And if you put in the right effort and the correct effort, then really like any good site search engine, whether it's Google, Bing, or, any of us around the search commercial space, right, should be able to take advantage of that, right? So whether you're adding, really good meta tags or improving your page content, how your page is structured, right? In terms of, again, Google and Bing, they've already set standards around all of this, right? So it'd be very silly for a search engine like us to say, hey, we want you to change your website standard in order to be more relevant, right? We want you to be able to follow a lot of the same standards that you're already using today in terms of how Google and Bing ranks your site, right? And promotes content from your site. And then be able to use that as well. It's, the algorithms, again, like Google and Bing obviously have thousands of engineers that have worked on their algorithm, but they also cover a very, millions to trillions, maybe even more than that in terms of content, right? For you, you're very much focused on how do I make the content I currently have more precise, and you're already doing that within your SEO, right? So to me, it's an absolute win-win spending time on your SEO in terms of how it relates to your website search.
Excellent. I was kind of struck by one of the stats you mentioned early on. Let me see if I can pull it back up here. 55% of users will abandon your site if they can't find what they're looking for. Part of me thinks that numbers should be higher, but that's still like an unbelievably high number. So I guess, folks, if if that doesn't wake you up, then I don't know what would. But yeah, does that surprise you? Would you think it'd be higher or lower?
I think it would be higher. I also think it also combines a lot of different things within that specific number in terms of, even if they also include things like browse, and there's some like even, we want to support, the browse aspect of it. Again, there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with the analytics that you capture and also power out your browse experience as well. I think it should be higher. But it also depends on, what group of customers that they look at in terms of, gathering some of these statistics, right? Often the smaller the customer, the higher this number is, the more time that's been invested, the lower the number is. So 55% actually seems like a fairly like average number to me, but I would expect it to be higher based off of some of the prospects that I talk to.
Yeah, I mean, I think about my own, personal experiences too. So I sort of get it. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, William. This has been fantastic. We appreciate the education. Any closing comments before we wrap up?
And I wish I would have really thought about a closing comment for for
No,
myself.
yeah, I'm not putting you on the
No,
spot.
it's all,
This is very
no,
good.
it's all good. It's one of those things, and obviously I've worked with a lot of companies over the years, whether it was serving a big e-commerce site, serving a smaller website. I feel as we've kind of gone through, obviously these past couple years, right? People have really begun looking at leveraging search as a medium. And even if it's just your website, right? Again, like there are so many other aspects where the data that you capture that's on just your basic site search, helps inform the success potentially of other applications down the line. Again, the more you know about your customers, the more you can understand about their voice, the better armed you are, not just from your marketing team, but all of your other organizations to help, support your customers along their customer journey. So don't discount the website search as just something simple, right? There are a lot of aspects of it that you can take and then help improve your other downstream applications as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, William. We appreciate it. Thank you to Lucidworks for making this educational session possible for us today. In addition to these kinds of webinars, folks, we at Content Marketing Institute post a daily blog to help you do something or to help you do something better. So we invite you over to the contentmarketinginstitute.com to learn more from us. We also have our Chief Content Officer magazine that's designed for decision makers in the content and marketing space. And if you want to talk about some of these topics live, join us live. Content Marketing World's coming up in September. We'd love to see you there. Come hang out with us in Cleveland, Ohio. We've got a really great program planned for you. We'll be talking about search and SEO and all kinds of content marketing topics, and we'd love to see you there. You can learn more about it on our website. And just one more reminder, too, that in about 24 hours or so, we will send you a link to the on-demand version of this website or this webinar. If you want to go back and listen in and take some more notes, that would be fantastic. And we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. Thank you, William.
Thank you very much.